Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition. We turn now to poem 704, No Matter Now, Sweet. Now, we're back to another Sue poem. Again, there's 94 of them, we believe. These poems that Emily is giving specifically to Sue. In this poem, it's clear that Sue has been somewhat unresponsive, and to that degree, we're back to poem 452. You will maybe remember 452 went like this. The Malay took the pearl, not I, the Earl. Concentrate on the word Earl. I feared the sea too much, unsanctified to touch, praying that I might be worthy the destiny. The swarthy fellow swam and bore my jewel home to the hut. What lot had I, the jewel god, born on a dusky breast? I had not deemed a vest of amber fit. The Negro never knew I wooed it too, to gain or be undone, alike to him. 1. Now, our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net. Down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily's our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've worked through our set of introductory comments as well as the preceding 703 poems. We just finished with 703 out of sight. Now, the tone of this poem, I want you to pay attention to. Is it accusatory or is it teasing? Some have read it as more tongue-in-cheek and teasing in regards to her comments to Sue. Basically, the longing for acceptance is central here, and I want you to notice the comparison between now and then, something coming in the future when Emily is the Earl. There seems to be a promise here for Emily that, oh no, things will change. I will not always be this. She says it this way. No matter now, sweet, but when I'm Earl, won't you wish you'd spoken to that dull girl? Trivial, a word, just trivial, a smile, but won't you wish you'd spared one when I'm Earl? I shan't need it then. Crests will do, eagles on my buckles, on my belt too. Ermine, my familiar gown. Say, sweet, then, won't you wish you'd smiled just me upon? Now again, the reversal of the syntax so that she can emphasize the whole idea with the word me to begin the final line. Notice the word just twice in this poem, and the power of that word. We'll see it again in 705 with his just death. Notice she'll begin with no matter. It's as if maybe she's trying to convince herself of this. By the way, the only other time she uses this construction is in 1541. No matter where the saints abide, they make their circuit fair. Behold how great a firmament accompanies a star. This no matter, it's almost like a throwaway, and then the word now, in between the two dashes, and then the word sweet. We've commented that in 113 poems the word sweet gets used. And again here, sweet is most likely Sue. No matter now, Sue or sweet. But when I'm Earl, back to poem 452. In other words, when I am accomplished. Now, so many of these poems seem to be building us towards 709, publication, The Auction of the Mind, and we'll get there. But she says, there will come a moment in the future, or notice the rhetorical question, will there? Won't you wish you'd spoken to that dull girl? Now, she uses the word dull in 16 different poems. It'll be fascinating. Of course, she's referencing herself here, calling herself dull. Dull in what way? Well, we're going to see it later with Ermine and the rest of it, as in not shiny, as in undiscovered, we might say. And then she'll use the word trivial twice. Trivial, a word, and then dash, and then just, and then dash. Trivial, dash, a smile, dash. Now, we've already commented on the relationship between Emily and Sue, the convoluted nature for the researchers of this whole relationship, and the way in which it will be Sue that is so much a motivator for so many of the lines here. But she'll say it, won't you wish you'd spared one word, one smile, when I'm an Earl? Now again, is this caustic or is this more tongue-in-cheek and whimsical? You get to decide. She says, I shan't need it then. In other words, in the future, I'm not going to need the smile. I'm not going to need the word then. Why? Because she'll have her crest. Her crest will do. Eagles on my buckles, on my belt too. Channeling, obviously, the idea that when she gets her laurels, when she gets her acclaim, when she's finally recognized as the Earl that she is. Of course, the irony is today we recognize Emily as that great poet, not during her lifetime. Ermine, my familiar gown. Ermine, you'll remember from poems 15, 117, 151, 98, as well as 161. And we'll see it again in 961. My familiar gown, of course, this is central. Emily's dress, her white gown, we've commented on it at 271, 325, 388, 542, 558, 665, and 712. We'll see it again, this use of the word gown, her dress. Say, dash, sweet, we're back to it, dash, then, forecasting of the future. Won't you wish you'd smiled, dash, just upon me, but not upon me, me upon. And then the use of the word just 2 different times here. In other words, just a little bit of recognition. Now, a word or a smile. I think at 2A, the point here is that rejection is very difficult for Emily to live with, and I think for all of us. At 2B, the rhetorical questions, and the 3 of them are powerful. At 3A, well, all of the other rejection Sue poems, there's 94 of them, not all of them rejection poems. You'll remember at 218, is it true, dear Sue? Are there 2? I shouldn't like to come for fear of joggling him if I could shut him up in a coffee cup or tie him to a pen till I got in, or make him fast to Toby's fist, hist, whist. I'd come. This tension, as we commented in that poem, between the 3, right? Emily and her brother Austin, and of course Sue. Finally, in 3B, what was a time when you felt yourself in a situation like this, where you struggled with rejection, where all you wanted was a smile or a word, and you had complete faith that there would be a then coming in the future when you wouldn't need it so much? Thank you.